The line crackled across oceans and deserts, her voice fractured with panic. "Your wife's axe is here," my sister sobbed. "He just broke your son's arm. She's refusing to take him to the hospital. He says he'll burn the house down if I call the cops." For a moment, the war zone around me went silent. The whine of generators, the muffled chatter of soldiers, even the faint smell of dust and oil froze in my lungs. My son's arm, broken, and my wife, the woman I trusted to shield him, was standing beside the man who did it. The satellite phone slipped slightly in my hand. I tightened my grip until the plastic creaked. "Stay with him," I told my sister. "Do not leave his side. I'll handle her." When the call ended, the darkness came. Not rage, not panic, something quieter, colder, the kind of silence that sharpens into strategy. I was still thousands of miles away, but in that moment I knew she had chosen her side, and it wasn't mine. That night I couldn't sleep. My body was exhausted, but my mind circled one truth with surgical precision. She had let another man hurt my son. The betrayal wasn't only inaction, it was collusion. She hadn't just failed him, she had protected the one who broke him. I replayed every conversation, every subtle change in her tone, every excuse that had once seemed harmless. The sudden old friend messages, the secretive smiles when she thought I wasn't looking, the way her phone turned face down every time I entered the room. I wanted to believe she was loyal, that the weight of my deployments hadn't cracked her resolve. But the call had stripped me of illusions. This wasn't just weakness, this was choice. And if she could choose him over our child, what else had she chosen? The answer pulsed at the back of my mind, unwanted but insistent. Betrayal never comes alone. It multiplies in shadows, feeding off secrecy. I needed proof. Not anger, not suspicion, evidence. So when my leave papers were finally approved, I already knew what I would do. Coming home, I moved like a ghost, smiling, quiet, watching. My son's arm was wrapped, healing, but the emptiness in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. He had cried, and she hadn't come. She talked too much at dinner, filling silence with chatter, asking nothing about me, deflecting everything about him. Her guilt seeped through the cracks, but she mistook my calm for blindness. I checked her phone while she showered. The number was saved under a woman's name. Clever, almost convincing. But the messages weren't friendship, they were promises, memories, plans. Next time he's deployed, we'll finally have peace. He doesn't need to know the boy isn't his. The words hollowed me out. Not mine? My son? Not mine? I closed the phone gently, set it exactly where I had found it. Then I pulled one strand of hair from her brush, sealed it in an envelope, sent it for testing against my son's. The wait was a quiet torture, but I wore patience like armor. She would never see me bleed. Every smile she gave me, every false touch, every fabricated laugh, I stored it away, fuel for the moment the truth would finally arrive. The envelope came on a gray morning, thin, harmless looking. Inside, results that carved through me with clinical precision. My son, not mine. I sat at the kitchen table, the paper trembling only once before I forced stillness back into my hand. When she entered the room, coffee steaming in her grip, I slid the document across the table. No words, no accusations. Her eyes scanned the lines. Confusion first, then dread, then the collapse. Her lips parted. Explanations tumbled. She reached for me, for sympathy, for anything. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I only watched as the truth stripped her bare, leaving her trembling in the wreckage of her lies. Revenge didn't need fire. It needed precision. That evening, I invited her mother and her sister to dinner. Ordinary, casual. She didn't suspect. Halfway through the meal, I excused myself, returned with the stack of printed messages. Her conversations with him, her admissions, her plans, the DNA report. I placed them on the table between the plates. Silence fell like a blade. Her mother read first. Her face went pale, then hard. Her sister recoiled, disgust in her eyes. And my wife, my betrayer, sat frozen, watching her world dissolve in front of the only people who might have sheltered her. I didn't raise my voice, didn't curse, didn't strike. I simply said, "The truth belongs to everyone now." Then I stood, collected my son, walked out. Behind me, I heard the sobs begin, the begging, the frantic scrambling for forgiveness. None of it mattered. People imagine betrayal ends in fire, in screams, in blood. But the reality is quieter. It ends in silence. I drove away with my son asleep in the back seat, his breathing steady, his small hand curled into a fist. The road stretched ahead, unknown, unplanned, but it was mine, ours. She would wake tomorrow to ashes, reputation gone, family turned, lover exposed, child taken, and I would not be there to see it, because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's nothing. I glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. The house disappeared into the dark, and with it, every illusion I had ever held.